I didn't think that you would ever be married. Thought you'd
So
be
did
one
the
of
rest of the English-speaking world.
That's right. What changed your mind? What was the moment? When was that moment? When did that moment happen when you thought, I'm going to go down this route? I'm changing my approach or the way I look at it. Do you remember?
Yeah, but I'll go just a tick back before that. Don the Snake Perdome, we were out riding in the sand dunes, and he goes, hey, you need to meet this girl. And I knew who he was talking about.
How? How did you know?
Well, because he said who it was. He goes, you need to meet Leah. And I knew exactly which Leah he was talking about. And I'm like, I'm engaged. He goes, I don't mean that way. He goes, you guys just would get each other. He goes, you guys just need to know each other. I'm like, all right. And got us on the phone one day, and we were talking. I was engaged. Leah was married. And just introduced us, and it was just casual conversation. Just, hey, Snake says we need to catch up and have lunch sometime and just meet each other. So we were both on board with that. Nothing really happened, and then I canceled my engagement. Leah had got separated and was in the process of getting divorced, and we were riding again in the dunes. And he goes, "Hey, I'm telling you, you guys need to meet." Got on the phone, talked again, and literally the Monday before COVID shut everything down, we went on our first date. I was running my sprint car, had been in Mississippi and Alabama, and was coming across Florida, and was supposed to run Georgia the last weekend.
Where did you take her?
Went to lunch in Gainesville, Florida. She was there running the Baby Gators the weekend before the Gator Nationals. I had just finished in Alabama, and she texted me and was telling me what was going on, and I said Gainesville, and pulled up the GPS. I'm like, that's 6.5 hours away. This is 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'm on my way. She goes, no, you're not. I said, yeah, I'm on my way. So I packed everything up, had the dogs in there. We start rifling down the road. She called or texted an hour later. She goes, you really coming? I took a picture of the speedometer. I was running 90 in a 48,000-pound motorhome, running 90 mile an hour down the interstate heading that way. I said, GPS says I'll be there at 6:30. So I remember pulling into the shopping center across from the hotel she was at and parked, and at 6:30 on the nose, she texted me. She goes, how you doing? I said, I got parked. I'm halfway set up. I said, I got to take a nap, though. I said, come beat on the door at noon, and we'll go to lunch. So, I mean, punctuals can be 12 o'clock on the nose, beating on the door. We go to lunch at the campus there in Gainesville, and then we're like, no, now what are we going to do? So she's like, you ever been to Bike Week? I'm like, nope. Always wanted to go to Bike Week, never been there. She goes, I've never been either. Let's go there. So she orders us an Uber to ride 2 hours and 15 minutes to Daytona in an Uber.
Holy shit.
And because we knew we were going to get banged up. I mean, you're not going to go to Bike Week and not get banged up.
What a commitment right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That's love.
Yeah. I mean, well, 2 hours in an Uber with anybody, you're going to find out whether you're a match or not.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But literally that whole night, we get back at like 5 in the morning. She's got to be on a 6 o'clock flight to fly to Vegas to do a trade show. And I remember sitting there because I didn't have to be anywhere till Atlanta that weekend. And I sat in Gainesville for a couple of days, and I'm like, that was different.
Yeah.
And I guess that was the moment where I said, there's something different about this girl from all the others. And literally, that next weekend, COVID kicked in. They canceled the NHRA stuff a day before NASCAR and IndyCar shut down. And I called her. I said, well, I'm going home to Indiana. I said, I'm going to restock the bus. I'm going to go up to Chicago and get on Route 66, and I'm going to drive the motorhome all across Route 66.
Route 66,
because we never get 2 weeks off. We've never had 2 weeks off.
Dude, I've been wanting to do that, like the original.
Yes.
Like the old two-lane. Yep. I've been wanting to do that. It's like goes from like Chicago to L.A. or somewhere.
All the way, all the way on a pier.
Yeah.
And I don't want to drive the motorhome on the pier, but I wanted to do the whole thing. I'm like, we'll never get this opportunity to do it.
All those old diners and stuff.
Yeah, and I was just going to go by myself. Yeah. And she goes, well, I'm in. I'm like, wow, well, that's even better. I'm like, we're going to be stuck in a motorhome together for 2 weeks probably doing this. And
Unreal.
By the time I got to Indy, everything had shut down. I said, I don't think this is going to work out. I said, we might get going, and there may not even be gas stations open. Then we're screwed. So 2 days later, she goes, hey, why don't you come out to Havasu for a couple of days? All right. So went for 4 days. 4 days turned into 4.5 straight months. So you think riding a 2-hour Uber tells you whether you like somebody. Live with somebody you don't know for 4.5 weeks or 4.5 months.
She asked you to come out to Lake Havasu for a couple days.
And when we were out there, then the state of Indiana shut down for 2 weeks, and my pilot's like, I don't think legally I can come out and get you.
Yeah, you stayed for 4 months.
Yeah,
together.
Yep,
and it worked
24/7 with each other, and it didn't take
God.
long. So this just kind of morphed along, and we got a call from Ken Block, and Ken and Leah are good friends, and he invites us to go out to a place in Utah to go ride side by sides. So we do that, and by the time that's all over with, we're like, yeah, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to date.
Damn, that's cool.
And then we had to sit there on the ride home and figure out we got problems. We got hurdles we're going to have to cross here. First one was she's sponsored by Pennzoil. I'm sponsored by Mobil 1.
That's the first hurdle.
She's sponsored by Dodge. I'm sponsored by Ford.
Oh my gosh.
And then Dodge and Ford. So it's like, man, what are we going to do? So no joke, I called my PR guy and I said, hey, this is what's going on, because nobody knew we were doing anything together. Like there were 2 or 3 people that knew who I was with and where I was at. And I said, we got to figure this out. And so we were proactive. And I remember on the way home from Swing Arm with Ken, I'm driving the motorhome. She's on the right side of the motorhome, and I'm on the phone with Mobil 1. She's on the phone with Pennzoil, and we hang up from that call, and I'm calling Ford, and she's calling Dodge at the same time, and we're 3 feet away from each other having these conversations, and not one of our partners had a problem with it and said, yeah, we'll work around it. We said, hey, when I go to her events, I won't wear any branding. When she goes to my events, she won't wear any branding, and that's what we've done, and it was very successful with that.
Wow.
So what how long have you been married now?
1.5 years.
What do you?
And she's still not filed for divorce yet. It's amazing.
When
it's
did
crazy.
Okay, hold up. So we kind of had a little bit of fun at Tony's expense a few weeks ago here. I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was Tyler Reddick that was on, and we were all kind of sharing our own stories about when we got married. What was the first rule that we had? Yours was the toilet seat.
Yeah.
I think Tyler's was, you can't wear your shoes in the house. And we were joking about you saying yours was you got to go start a drag racing team.
Yeah.
But that was the first one. All jokes aside, though, when did the drag racing thing start coming into the conversation? Like for you to start
a team? I mean, when we started dating and then once, racing started coming back, the sprint car stuff started first. And she went to my races, and it was funny because, when we set up for a Cup weekend, we park and we're there for the whole weekend, but guys got to get rental cars and go back and forth to the hotel. Sprint car deal's different. We were running 2-day shows at the same track, and we'd load up at the end of it, and she's losing her mind, like, why are you guys packing up? You're racing here tomorrow. Well, that's their vehicle. That's how they get to the hotel, and they got to go to the car wash. They got to get up in the morning. They got to service the car in the parking lot, and then they come back to the track.
What do you think about all that?
She couldn't wrap her head around it because it's total opposite of what they do in NHRA. But I started going to her races shortly after, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I had been to a couple before with Tony Schumacher and Don Schumacher because of the U.S. Army partnership. And I liked it. Austin Prock, that's a top fuel driver. He used to run his midget out of our shop before he got in NHRA. And so we would watch qualifying shows and stuff, in between Xfinity stuff and all that. And, that's how I saw Leah, too, was on the same shows. But we were watching Austin, and we would see them. But I just got hooked on it. I mean, I love the atmosphere there. I think it's so cool that when fans come to a drag race, when they buy a ticket, it gets them everywhere but on the starting line. That's the only place you're not allowed to go. But they can sit in the stands, they can watch the runs, then they can come down and they literally can watch the crews, rebuild the motors, service the cars, talk to the drivers while they're packing their chutes or mixing fuel, whatever they're doing. And it is a cool atmosphere and way more laid back than what we've been used to.
Hey, if you like that video, you'll love the entire podcast. The Dale Jr. Download, it's available on all major podcast platforms.